Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for another virtual brown bag. I'm Harvey White, the Education Manager here at the Augusta Museum of History. Today, we are talking about women in STEM in Augusta. We have the pleasure of having Miss Shanteka Glover be our lecturer today, and here is a little bit about her. She is a graduate of South Carolina State University. She has her degree in computer science and also has an MBA with a concentration in project management from Strayer University. She recently got her second master's from Strayer's in science and information systems management. She has a passion for community service, which involves giving back and engaging and mentoring students. Among her many achievements, she was the 2018 U.S. Women in Nuclear Region 2 Leadership Award winner, and she is the current president and one of the founders of the Savannah River Site Women in Nuclear. Thank you so much to Ms. Glover for being a lecturer today. You guys are going to learn a lot. I know I did when I recorded it. I hope that you all enjoy. Bye.
Good afternoon. Welcome today to the Women in STEM of Women of Augusta series for the Brown Bag History Lecture. My name is Shanteka Glover. I am from Bowman, South Carolina, currently residing here in Augusta, Georgia. I've been in the city for about 12 years now. I started at the Savannah River site. I've been there ever since I moved here, 9.5 years with software configuration at the former MOX project at Savannah River site. And I've recently switched tracks over to cybersecurity with Savannah River Nuclear Solutions. Today I wanted to talk to you about my journey in STEM, how I got here, different challenges I've had to face in my tenure of being in my career for the past 12 years, and then give you some statistics and then what can we do as a community to help foster the progression of STEM and to ensure that we have STEM careers and a pipeline of skilled people in the future. My journey to STEM started with a STEM camp in middle school. One of my teachers introduced me to robotics and computer science and told me about a camp that I could go to for about 2 weeks. And so when I got there, my thought was that I was going to make video games because I love to play video games. And so I just thought I'll make the next big it game. Everything is going to be okay. And I'll be extremely rich and I can just live however I wanted to live. Fast forward into high school and college, I did take some courses in computer science, but fast forwarding into college, I started at Voorhees College in Denmark, South Carolina for my freshman year in 2005. And computer science was different than anything that I thought, but I still continued in the field. Then I switched over in 2006 to South Carolina State University in Orangeburg, South Carolina. While there, I still continued my track for my sophomore year in computer science, but I still had those same doubts. And so the second semester of my sophomore year, I actually filled out a change of major form, was ready to turn it in, ready to sign it. And my department chair at the time, Dr. James Keller, and my dean, Kenneth Lewis, they sat me down and wanted to know why did I wanted to change my major. They wanted to know, what could they offer me? What was I not getting? Was it extremely confusing? And all I could say was, I just don't think this is for me. While I was doing that though, I was really interested in the fact that they were taking the time to invest in me at a young age, especially a female in this dominated male major, because there were some times where I was only the only girl, or one of 2 to 3 girls in a course. And so I was extremely taken aback how they were taking an interest in making sure that the females in the program had what they needed to keep that diversity and inclusion at the college and in that major. And so from there, I actually decided to stay in the major around my junior year, second semester of my junior year. I was able to obtain a scholarship and an internship, which was a paid internship, to the Savannah River site with the former MOX project. And that intern at the time was called a MOX scholarship. And so with that scholarship, what it did was they were going to pay for my tuition, room and board, and the only thing I had to do for them was work the summer of my going into my senior year and then give them 2 years back after I graduated. So upon graduation, I already knew I had a job offer, I already knew where I was gonna be. And so taking internships and really that came about through the dean as well. It kind of set me up for my journey into my career of where I am now. And so I'm just really grateful that Dr. Keller and Dr. Lewis really just took time to invest in me, because it has been very rewarding ever since graduating in 2009. Challenges to STEM. When I started my job, I was extremely overwhelmed in a group of about 60 to 70 people. I was only one of three females and the only Black person, periods, in that group at the time. And so I was really thinking, maybe this is not for me. I don't know how I can relate. Everyone, of course, was much older than me, and so I didn't know how I fit into the group. But I continued to just stick to what I had to do, apply what I've learned, and continue in the group. Now, about 2 to 3 years after I got there, the dynamics did change, and so there were more Blacks that came into the group, and there were more females that came into the group. And so I began to feel a little more comfortable in performing and really just absorbing my career and things that I wanted to see. And so from there, that's how the birthing of Shanteka the STEM Advocate came about, because I wanted to change the narrative. And then also, had it not been for that one teacher at the time to not tell me about STEM, I would have not known anything about STEM. So, even getting STEM to the rural areas and places where you wouldn't normally hear it, kids don't know about it because no one talks about it. And so my whole thing was to change the narrative. And how I changed the narrative was I began volunteering with different organizations that I could find at the time. I began, teaching girls about STEM, or asking kids, have you heard about STEM? Just starting those small conversations. And then in 2015, the opportunity came for myself and about 6 other ladies to start the Savannah Riverside Women in Nuclear organization. And so with that organization, we wanted to definitely promote women, minorities, and diversity into the nuclear industry and applying STEM careers and STEM majors and fields. When people hear nuclear, they automatically go to bombs or it's only engineering, and it's just so far from the truth. There's just so much involved into STEM, and you can really apply any major there is into the nuclear industry and into STEM. And so with that organization, we started with about less than 20 people, and now the organization has over 520 members. And so just to see it grow, I started as our inaugural public outreach chair. And during that time, I've met so many students, so many women in the time that we volunteered, who, they said, I don't see people like you. And then that's what makes me think this is the purpose, to make sure that other people know and understand how important STEM is and how important seeing women in STEM really is to the overall growth of STEM and the overall growth even in the nuclear industry. And so with Savannah Riverside Women in Nuclear in 2016, because of our public outreach activities, we won the Most Reactive Chapter Award, which was awarded to us for the most public outreach activities and unique activities during Nuclear Science Week, which is held every October. We won the Miracle Mile Breast Cancer T-shirt walk contest. At the time, the design was cancer one cell at a time, so it was the winning design in 2016. And then in 2018, as I was just doing what I love, I was nominated and became a finalist and won the 2018 U.S. Win Region 2 Leadership Award. And so that award was special to me because not only was I doing what I love, but somehow it just arranged to where that award was given to me on the 1st year anniversary of my mother's death. And so I dedicated that to her, because if it had not been for my mom and my dad really taking the time to ask me, what do I want to do, investing in me as from a child up until the ages of where they could, I probably would have never had the opportunity of even going to the STEM camp. So I definitely had to dedicate that award to my mother, and it's just one of those awards that will forever be near and dear to my heart. Some statistics about and some challenges about STEM. With STEM, you don't really, of course, we've already said, you don't really see a lot of women. You don't see a lot of blacks at all. You don't see a lot of minorities. The culture is changing some, but there is a lot of work that has to be done. And so with me, my pastor always told me your gifts will make room for you. And so with that, I wanted to make sure that when I leave here, that I leave a legacy to open that door, hold the door, create new doors for women, create new doors for minorities to walk through, just like someone held the door for me. And so I want to give you guys some statistics on what research is showing, and then how can we help change that narrative together as a community. So the first statistic I have is, according to experts, it is believed that an estimated 3.5 million STEM jobs will need to be filled by 2025, and there are not enough skilled people to support this demand. This is very overwhelming when you think about it. And so there are other local groups in the area that are expanding, and that's why I support and I try to volunteer with them as much as I can. And some of those groups are Brown Girls in Tech, Brown Girls Code, DIG, which is out in Williston, South Carolina, and then Girl Scouts. And so a lot of people, when they hear Girl Scouts, they don't think about the STEM portion that's going into there, but it really is, they're really teaching girls about STEM. And so those type of organizations are important to our community, as well as the Savannah River Women in Nuclear. And there is another chapter out in Waynesboro for the Women in Nuclear program as well. And so we want to make sure that we can find out, how can our kids get into those programs, and ask, what can you do to figure out, what is the next big thing that is happening? How can your child or relative be a part of that? The second statistic is, according to a survey by Emerson, 2 out of 3 women stated that they were not even encouraged to pursue a STEM career. With that one, I really had to sit down and really think about that, because I knew what it was like when I wanted to change my major. But to not even hear about it, I don't even know where I would be today. I don't really know what I would be doing if I never heard about STEM. I'm pretty sure I would have figured something out, but I don't know if it would be fulfilling as being in the STEM industry is. The next statistic is census.gov showed that as of 2019, women comprise less than 30% of the STEM workforce, despite making up 50% total college educated workforce. And of that 30%, women are still underrepresented in math, computing, physical sciences, and engineering jobs. To add a little more to that statistic, according to Pew Research Center, Blacks in STEM make up 11% of the US workforce and only represent 9% of the STEM workforce, while Hispanics only represent 8% of the STEM workforce. It is also stated that of the people surveyed, 40% of Blacks switch out of STEM majors before graduating, and Hispanics are still less represented in STEM overall. And so what does that tell us? We have to continue to foster those relationships. We have to continue to foster and support what is happening in our community. Augusta is a really great place. We have a lot of STEM schools here, but outside of here, there are a lot of areas that don't have STEM schools. It's not promoting STEM, or it's promoting your traditional careers. And so you want to change that narrative. You want to better your community. And these are the ways you can help. I call this the STEMming recipes. And so the first is, the Department of Education has recently invested $540 million in STEM education. So talk to your kids, your relatives, your students. If they're not able to watch today, make sure you show them this video of, what does it take to be in STEM? What can you do if you wanted to be in the STEM industry. And how can you help them get to where they are? A lot of kids just don't know where to start, so you want to make sure that you know enough to help them get on the way and know how to point them in the right direction. The second part of the recipe is we must collectively continue to promote STEM and diversity and inclusion in STEM by not just focusing on colleges and universities, but we have to start them as early as elementary school. By the time they're a junior or senior, they pretty much almost already made up their mind what they want to do, whether they want to go to college or not. And so we have to grasp them early on so that they can see it, they can work in it, they can begin to find camps, take courses early on, so that by the time they do get to college, they already have a sound mind of what they want to do. They already have experience in those areas, and then college won't be so hard for them. And not that it won't be hard at all, but it won't be so hard as far as this is not what I want to do, because they would have known what it took to even work at it and work with it from elementary to middle to high school. The third is understand that STEM is important and an economic driver as well as a world of opportunity. STEM invokes creativity, leadership skills, critical thinking and problem solving skills, entrepreneurship. And so when you really, and I don't know if you've ever sit down to really just watch a kid, their creativity just comes out. If you just put them there by themselves, you'll be amazed at the things that they're thinking, the things that they can just, from their minds, from paper, they can write, they can draw. And so I've had a chance to really sit down at a couple of STEM camps, and kids came up with these ideas. And I remember one time where I was a judge for a competition they had here some years ago, and I can't really remember the name of the competition, but it was for NASA. And so what they wanted to do was they wanted to allow kids to develop what type of games could astronauts play in space. And so one of my teams that we coach, and they were able to win one of the awards, they created this space football game. And it was so unique because they had to think about, there is no gravity, things floating around, how can you get things to stay? And so just to watch the thought process, and then the codes and the computer science, the mathematics, all that went into that particular program, and just to design a simple space football game, those kids really amazed me. And from that, it was also that click that we really have to pay attention to our kids. We really have to pay attention to what they want to do and try to help them really get there, and let them know that you are supporting them for whatever they may want to do. The last part of the STEM recipe is be a STEMinist. And so that advocacy, awareness, and representation matters everywhere. So don't let anyone tell you, oh, don't worry about STEM, or they're just promoting that because it's a hot ticket. It is a hot ticket, but it is so important to our culture. We have to be the change that we seek to ensure the next generation and the future generations don't have to reinvent the wheel, but they can just build upon what we've already done and progress that. And if there needs to be new processes, let there be new processes, let there be new technology, but give them something to start with so that they can have the mindset, okay, let me take this in this direction. We never know what the future holds, but if we invest in our kids, at least we know they will be skilled enough to do the job and the task at hand. So we want to make sure that we're always leaving footprints and a legacy to the generations behind us. And then also, what will your life say when all is said and done? What will your life say, and what have you changed while you were here? So I didn't have much for you today, but this is what I have that I'm presenting to you all. And so if you would like to contact me, if you would like to message me, find out more about STEM, because there's a lot more, but I'm trying to cram it all into this little segment. And I would love to talk to your child, come and talk to your class when school gets back in, whatever the case may be. I would love to come and just sit amongst a round table in an informal setting to just have that heart to heart and that real talk with them. But you can contact me on LinkedIn. My name is Shanteka G, Shanteka, the letter G with a period. So that's how I can be found on LinkedIn. And you can email me at shanteka.glover@comcast.net. And so I'm always available by email. I'll normally get my messages for LinkedIn. So if you need to contact me, please do reach out. And I really hope that you've got some key takeaways from everything that I've told you today. Like I said, there is so much more, but I wanted to make sure that I at least hit the home points for you guys. So with that, you guys have a great rest of the afternoon, and I hope you enjoyed this segment. Thank you.